In the most remote corners of the planet, deep under the sea, and across ever-changing landscapes, people are fighting to protect the Earth's most threatened ecosystems.
This means we must preserve nature here, as it exists now, in order for it to continue to provide us with its benefits.
By increasing awareness and local involvement, they hope to demonstrate that we can live and work in harmony with our planet's most precious resources. They are the guardians of nature. Linking east and west in an enchanting landscape where the land meets the sea, Greece has been called the most beautiful jewel of the Mediterranean. With 10 national parks, 15,000 kilometers of coastline, 6,000 islands and 20 mountains, some reaching as high as 2,000 meters, Greece is also a haven for wildlife. The country's wilderness areas, however, have been threatened by the expansion of industry. Today, scientists and ecologists are working to protect a variety of delicate ecosystems throughout the Grecian Isles, including its marine life, salt marshes, pine forests, and wetlands. In northwestern Greece, the Tvrip Marine Park contains an incredible treasure. The largest population of Mediterranean monk seals in the country thrives here thanks to the efforts of the MOM Association, or Hellenic Society for the Study and Preservation of the Monk Seal. Panos Denvrinos has been committed to the protection of monk seals since 1988 and is a founding member of the MOM Association.
The seals eat mostly fish, eels and lobsters, and even octopus. And they're at the top of the food chain. So by protecting them, we're actually protecting the entire environment. The Mediterranean monk seal symbolizes this particular marine ecosystem.
Caves and beaches found around the Tvrip Islands provide excellent breeding grounds for the seals. It's October, the height of the seal's birthing period. Panos and his colleague carefully monitor the seals and their newborn pups during this critical period, as they do throughout the year. They keep track of the seals by using specially designed underwater cameras.
Put your lamp on. That's good.
The seals tend to be very sensitive to their environment, and females will miscarry or abort if they're threatened while pregnant. By installing these cameras in caves and grottos, Panos can constantly watch the seals without having to disturb them.
I think the seal is the perfect marine mammal because it's perfectly adapted for living in the water. It has a perfect hydrodynamic shape. It can even outmaneuver a shark. It's the only species of seal here in the Mediterranean, and it's one of the rarest mammals in the world.
Almost all females give birth to a single pup in caves with submarine entrances. They nurse their young for up to 6 weeks and don't eat or hunt during this time. Instead, they live off their own fat reserves. Females and pups stay together for 3 years.
We want to understand just how the monk seals are doing here. We record all deaths, and more importantly, the number of births each year. This data gives us a picture of the population and how it's doing over time. The findings will be useful in the future so we can improve the seal's habitat and share what we learn with other conservationists in Greece.
The seals communicate with each other by making high-pitched sounds and will warn each other if they sense danger. The seals' greatest threats are boating traffic, fishermen who see them as competition, and pollutants.
Last spring, there were several of us on a little rowboat, including a local fisherman. And we've been working on the island for a few days. It was a beautiful morning. And right here, near these grottos, a seal pup came by and swam next to our boat for about 3 or 4 minutes, as if he was welcoming us to the island. That experience really had an effect on me. It happened right here. I don't think I'll ever forget it.
Benny Trapp is a professional photographer and herpetologist who spends his summers in the Peloponnese region of Greece. He's recently taken on the responsibility of monitoring a local population of exceptionally rare chameleons.
I'm a professional photographer, and since I was a very little boy, I was fascinated of amphibians and reptiles. And anytime I decided to take pictures of them and to study them and to live from this.
Salt marshes, sand dunes, and reed beds make this an ideal oasis for a variety of reptiles. One of them is the endangered African chameleon.
we can find Camellia africanus only in this area, which is about 4 kilometers long and about 300 to 500 meters wide. Camellia africanus lives in Europe only in this small area. That the dog, marten, fox or whatever can't reach the chameleon while it sits outside of the nest. It's completely exhausted now, and after nesting they sit like this on the nest, and they're very easy to get for predators. What we do first is we measure the tail, and we will see how many eggs it laid. It becomes stressed now, so it changes colors from light green to nearly black. This is the pregnancy color of the chameleon, with the blue heels and the yellow-green everywhere. It's less than 10% that survive the first winter and become adult to lay eggs again. Most of them got squashed by cars, predated by martens, foxes, free-running cats and dogs.
The African chameleon's mating season starts in August and continues through till October, which means Benny and his team will be working non-stop for 3 months. Due to their slow-moving nature, chameleons are especially vulnerable to habitat destruction, predators, and road traffic. Their best defense is their ability to disappear into their surroundings.
So I have to dig a little bit like a chameleon. There must be a hole down where the eggs are in, and a little bit I have to dig up that the sand can fall slow by slow, that there is no pressure on the eggs. This is very important, otherwise the eggs could be destroyed. So now it's deep enough, and I'm going to move the eggs from the other place to this, which was always a successful nesting area.
Females usually lay about 30 eggs and then retreat back into the trees or shrubs.
So now I dig out the eggs. This nest is too close to the road, and as soon as the juveniles hatch, I have it. So here's, everywhere around is hard sand, and then you follow the soft sand and you will find the eggs. The female starts digging the hole in the morning, and in the afternoon or evening, depends in the ground, if it's soft sand or hard earth like here. She's finished in the evening, then she lays the eggs in the evening or during the night, and then she goes on closing the nest, and And this takes until the next morning.
The eggs will incubate unattended for about 2 months. The baby chameleons will feed off their yolk sacs until they hatch using an egg tooth.
So it's exactly 30 eggs. And with this moving eggs from a not so good place to a perfect nesting size, until now, we have 100% success. It's very important that you do it immediately after nesting, because a few hours, let's say 24 hours after laying the eggs, you shouldn't move the eggs anymore, you might destroy them. So that's 30. We close the hole now. And I remember here they will come out because they go straight up. So I will make a mark on here that we can put the fence around the middle of the nest.
Chameleons use their tails and pincer-like claws to move through the trees and reeds. They have unique eyes that can work together or swivel and focus independently on separate objects. A chameleon's tongue is as long as its body and covered with a sticky mucus used for snapping up insects and spiders.
We have counted the whole population of Camellia africanus in this area, and we counted 263 animals. This is much more than we had in the last 4 or 5 years. So it's going up again, the first time since 5 years it's going up with the population. This is a great success.
In the far eastern corner of Greece, near the Aegean archipelago of Ikaria, Tvrip Adek, founder and director of the Archipelagos Association, is taking his students on an underwater research expedition.
Μετά και από την πρώτη προκαταρκτική έρευνα που κάναμε στην περιοχή.
After an initial assessment of the region, we discovered that there was strong biodiversity here.
Βιοποικιλότητα, ας το πούμε έτσι, και ως προς τα θαλάσσια οικοσυστήματα και τα χερσαία. Ταυτόχρονα διαπιστώσαμε ότι η περιοχή θα πρέπει.
But at the same time, we recognized that the region was in critical condition and needed immediate attention.
Να υπάρξει άμεση διαχείριση. In
order for our research to be effective, we first have to conduct a more detailed inventory to identify all of the species here, as well as the environmental pressures. Okay, so we're in the south of Barfusa, and we've got 3 hours to map out this entire sector. One team will work on fish in the western section. The algae team will work in the center. And we'll work in the east section on invertebrates.
Okay, εντάξει.
We are working with several Greek and European universities. They usually send their top students. Right now, our team represents more than 11 European countries. It's like we're a free trade market. We work together in almost perfect harmony.
Δουλεύουμε και συνεργαζόμαστε αρμονικά.
And then I'll pass you. You need a boy as well? One or two?
Tvrip and his students are using a survey method known as transect to measure the aquatic flora and fauna. This involves unrolling a cable over several dozen meters and counting absolutely everything they see along it over a specified period of time. The researchers have to snorkel for several hours in order to create a list of all the species present at the site and note the population density. These can then be compared to other habitats in Greece and around the world. By using this method, Tvrip has been able to confirm that this region has one of Europe's most dynamic ecosystems.
Η παράκτια ζώνη παρουσιάζει ένα μεγάλο ενδιαφέρον. Έχουμε τα λιβάδια της Ποσειδονίας.
The coastal areas are the most interesting.
Ένα προστατευόμενο ενδιαίτημα γι' αυτό.
First, we have sprawling underwater prairies of Posidonia plants.
Χρειάζεται και άμεση προστασία.
It's a feature of this environment which has been on the decline because of trawling, and we have to act fast. This biotope also has a wide variety of sponges. We've inventoried over 100 species and more than 500 kinds of algae. We've also documented a significant number of invertebrates and fish.
Tvrip's work has led to the creation of a wildlife sanctuary here, but he hopes that his continuing efforts will elevate it to national park status.
What my team and I want is management of the refuge here, which also takes people into account. Local communities have to live in harmony with nature. Another important thing is local education and awareness. If we don't teach the next generation how valuable our environment is, we won't see any real results from all our hard work, and there won't be anyone who can carry this work on into the future.
Υπάρχει κανένα αποτέλεσμα. Δεν θα υπάρξουν οι διαχειριστές δηλαδή για τα επόμενα χρόνια.
The Sparathis island of Skiros is home to a unique species of horse. Originally an architect, Nikos Kritikos is a resident of Skiros and oversees the preservation of the Skirian horses.
When I first moved here, there were 2 horses on my property. And once I got to know them, I decided to devote my life to preserving this species. And finding a way to make sure that they don't become extinct.
There are about 100 of these horses on the island, and although their anatomy is comparable to that of a normal horse, they're unique because of their size. Measuring about 120 centimeters from head to tail, they're some of the smallest horses in the world.
These horses have survived here because the people who needed horses would use them for agricultural purposes in the summer and let them roam free in the winter, in the fields and mountain slopes. And one generation after the other, the horses got smaller because their resources were scarce in the summertime. They managed to survive because of agricultural work alone. Now that the farmers use tractors and modern threshing machines, they don't really need the horses, and they're being abandoned, and they're in danger of dying out.
Nikos systematically tags each of the island's horses with a microchip which he implants in the horse's skin. This technology allows him to track the horses both genetically and literally, in case they get lost.
The number you see here is the number of your horse. So, as of now, thanks to this technology, the person who finds him can call me and I can tell him who the horse belongs to, when he was born, who his mother is, and who its original owner was. He won't be lost again. Skiros's horses are some of the oldest and rarest horses in the world. They were once found throughout Greece. It's said that they appeared on Skiros in 1300 BC during the Trojan War, that Achilles brought them here and then left to join the army. They're very gentle horses, and they've got to be protected because their numbers are dwindling. A species that's lived throughout Greece for centuries and now lives only on Skiros is a living legend. We can't afford to lose this part of our history. Someone's got to look after them.
How and exactly when the horses arrived on the island remains a mystery. According to legend, the horses would come down off the mountain slopes with their foals in the early spring and voluntarily work with farmers during the threshing season in exchange for food and water. The end of the harvest was celebrated with the horses before they returned to the mountains in September when the rainy season began.
Δεν το βρίσκω πουθενά.
I don't see this one anywhere on the list of living horses.
Εν ζωή. Στη Σκύρο. Αλλά έχω και ένα...
But I also have a list of missing horses.
Δηλαδή που οι ιδιοκτήτες δεν μπορούν να τα βρουν αυτά τα άλογα.
Let's see if we have any luck.
Ας δούμε αυτό το κατάλογο και ελπίζω να είμαστε τυχεροί.
Yes, it's on the missing list.
Ναι, να το.
The owner hasn't seen it for years.
Και ήταν στον κατάλογο των αγνοωμένων.
This horse lives permanently on the mountain slopes and seems very gentle.
Αρκετά χρόνια. Και ζει ελεύθερα μόνιμο στο βουνό. Και από ό,τι
I'll
φαίνεται...
have to let his owner know that his horse is alive.
Θα ειδοποιηθεί ο ιδιοκτήτης ότι ζεις.
Every day, Nikos's own two horses renew his dedication to the preservation of the Skiros species.
Είναι πολύ εντυπωσιακό. Όταν σου λένε
It's really amazing.
κάθε μέρα να σου λένε καλημέρα, είναι τρομερά εντυπωσιακό.
When a horse greets you every morning, it's incredible.
Σου λένε καλώς ήρθες, είναι επίσης πάρα πολύ εντυπωσιακό. Το πιο όμως εντυπωσιακό από αυτά...
When you come home from work and they welcome you home, it's pretty incredible too.
Η ώρα που τους δίνω κάθε μέρα φαγητό, αυτά κάθονται εκεί χωρίς να μιλήσουν.
But what is really fantastic is that on Sunday mornings when I sleep in, they seem to know this and they'll stay quiet so they won't wake me up.
Να μου πούν καλημέρα, έλα να μας ταΐσεις.
And when they can tell I'm awake, if I cough or open a door, they'll start making noise as if to say good morning, come feed us. That just feels great.
In the north of Greece, a few kilometers from the Bulgarian border, lies Lake Kakini, an excellent stopover for migratory birds. Theodoris Nazaridis is an ornithologist and president of the Rhodoris Kerkinis Management Organization.
I began studying birds at Kerkini when I was a student at the age of 20. First we studied them in class, but when I came out to the lake to see what was here for myself, I realized that all the exotic birds I'd seen in documentaries were only 5 minutes away from my home. It was a terrific surprise, and it inspired me to find new ways to protect Kerkini and its birds.
Over 300 species of migratory bird from Turkey, Italy, Spain and France stop at Kerkini on their way to Africa. Among this multitude of birds, there are more than 3,000 pink flamingos.
We can see groups of cormorants and pelicans fishing. There are at least 4,000 cormorants and 450 Dalmatian pelicans, and 5 or 6 pink pelicans. All the birds actually fish together, and we often see cooperation among the different species.
Κορμοράνοι βουτούν κάτω από την υφάνεια του νερού, έτσι τα ψάρια σκορπούν προς όλες τις κατευθύνσεις και επωφελούνται οι...
Cormorants will dive beneath the surface of the water, dispersing the schools of fish. The pelicans and seagulls then skim across the surface of the water, fishing as they go.
Πλησιάζει το κοπάδι στην ξηρά.
When the fish head towards the shore to escape the gulls and pelicans, then the herons make their move.
Ψαρεύουν μαζί με το υπόλοιπο κοπάδι.
An artificial lake created to prevent the Strimonis River from overflowing its banks, Kerkini helps to irrigate the Ceres plain. As a result, the water levels change dramatically from one season to the next. This part of the lake, which is dry at this time of year, is submerged in up to 4 meters of water during the spring.
This platform was constructed to give the pelicans a place to nest due to the changing water levels. This is because there's nowhere for the birds to nest when everything is flooded. This was built in 2002. A year later, a few couples reproduced, but without much success. In 2004, we had at least 30 fledglings that grew up here and then left the lake.
Είχαμε τουλάχιστον 30 νεοσσούς οι οποίοι μεγάλωσαν και έφυγαν από την περιοχή.
And in 2005, we had at least 60. We tagged some of them so that we can track their movements across the region.
Να μπορέσουμε να παρακολουθήσουμε τις μετακινήσεις τους στην ευρύτερη περιοχή. Τα πουλιά μπορούν εδώ να βρουν ασφάλεια.
The birds really thrive here. They find refuge and plenty of food. This is the reason why at least 300 different birds come here from across the region.
Located in the Sporathes archipelago, the island of Skiathos is known for its pine forests. But what makes Skiathos so special is that it's home to a very old tree, the Italian stone pine. Vasilis Tavakis, a botanist, has been studying this particular species for a number of years and monitors its status on the island.
Η κουκουναριά είναι το μοναδικό πεύκο που δίνει καρπό.
It's one of the few pine trees that bears seeds that humans like to eat. But they're difficult to harvest. That's why they're so expensive.
Και έχει μεγάλη αξία σαν καρπός, ας το πω κατά κάποιο τρόπο.
Dating back to prehistoric times, stone pines were extensively planted throughout the Mediterranean by the Etruscans, Greeks, Romans and Arabs for their protein-rich seeds. But how they arrived on Skiathos still remains a mystery. Today, they're often planted to protect coastal areas and prevent erosion.
Βρισκόμαστε στο δάσος της κουκουναριάς.
This pine forest has two species of conifer. The Pinus pinea, or stone pine, is a semi-photophilous species, which means it likes light. It grows really well in this region. The other species, the Pinus halepensis, or Aleppo pine, has a light brown trunk, round bark and green pine needles. It also has large pine cones and big seeds.
Και μεγάλο καρπό. Παλαιότερα, οι πίνους χαλεπέζες ρητανευότανε.
In the past, locals here on Skiathos would harvest the resin of the Aleppo pine. They would make crosshatches in the trunk and put a small bucket beneath it. They would use the resin for all kinds of purposes. After tapping became illegal, the pines have had a second chance and are doing much better.
A reduction in resin collection has helped the pine forests recover. But the Aleppo resin continues to provide an economic resource for many subsistence farmers in the eastern Mediterranean region. Conservationists like Vasilis are working to find ways for marginalized communities to play an active role in preserving and protecting the pine forests they rely on. It's thought that pine forests with active resin collection have a lower incidence of forest fires. This is one example of how people can work towards living in balance with their natural resources.
When you've got rare or unique ecosystems, preserving them is a matter of principle.
To protect the stone pine forests, Vasilis regularly plants new saplings so that future generations on Skiathos can reap the benefits of this tree. Vasilis says this also allows him to express his connection to the earth and his love for nature. Despite the recent growth of industry in Greece, this jewel of the Mediterranean owes its extraordinary natural beauty to a variety of delicate ecosystems. Whether on land or beneath the sea, Greece's guardians of nature will continue their work, exploring new ways to understand nature's resources in order to better protect them for generations to come.